Get better at Dark Souls games using these 3 essential tips. This video will help you get better at these beloved From Software titles if you're a new or intermediate player. By now, everyone knows of the notorious difficulties of these games. So to enjoy them, you kind of need to know what you're doing. It's not very hard to beat and enjoy these games if you follow these practical tips. I won't tell you to cheese the game either. This is the way these games are meant to be played on solo. Number 1, protect your souls, blood echoes, runes, etc. These points that you get for defeating enemies are so crucial to the game. They don't just serve as an arbitrary point tally like in many retro games. They actually serve 2 important purposes. 1, they are the only way you can level up in the game. Many games will have an automatic level up system, but in these games you have to level up manually. You can't even do so on the spot. You have to get to a special location and even sometimes meet certain conditions. The problem is that if you die carrying your points, you will lose them. Then you'll only have 1 chance to get them back. If you die a second time without getting them, that's progress gone forever. Just visualize all the time spent trying to get these points, all the hardship trying to beat a really tough boss. Then you mess up, die, and suddenly all this effort gets flushed down the drain. In addition, these points also serve as the game's currency. This is less important than leveling up, but you can use your points to purchase items from vendors and upgrade your weapons. You'll never get back the time lost if your souls, blood echoes, runes, etc. cannot be recovered. This setback is demoralizing. It makes it tough for the player to push forward. Number 2, speaking of pushing forward, the second tip I have is that you can just run past enemies, except for bosses. This feels a bit unusual because we're so used to linear games that require us to beat a group of enemies to continue. But it's not like that in Souls games. The way these games work is that the enemies will reset every time you enter a certain waypoint. They'll even reset in the exact same positions they initially spawned in. So you shouldn't feel the need to dispatch every enemy in an area before you continue. They'll just come back. With every hostile encounter you also risk death and you risk losing health. If you really try to beat every enemy on the way to a boss, you'll never have enough health to beat him, guaranteed. Just run right past the little enemies. Most of them have a small line of sight and are not very fast enough to catch you. I'd recommend beating them only once to familiarize yourself with the enemy type. Do it if you know they're standing in the way of your path, or if you need points from destroying them. One final thing I'll add to this tip is that not all enemies are even worth beating. Some even take a long time to destroy, or are too difficult for it to even be worth it. So definitely don't waste your time trying to beat a really hard enemy that only will give you a small amount of points. It's okay to run away. The final tip is one that is equally important but may be underappreciated. You need to grind for some points. Every Souls game will put you in a skill check situation, a level or boss that is extremely difficult up to that point and will really force you to lock in and use all your newfound skills. At this point you will likely die, so you should take some time, just like an hour or 2, looping around a really good area and racking up points so that you can level up and upgrade weapons. Personally, I've never beaten a single Souls game without having to take some time to level up. It's a bit tedious and most players don't think to do it because it requires you to take a step back and approach the situation slowly. Most players want to power through so that they can get that dopamine hit of beating a really tough boss. However, Souls games won't allow you to breeze through, and you really have to work for it. I'll give you one bonus tip that requires you to cheat a little bit. You'll have to learn about this more online. Almost every one of these Souls games has a hidden level cap system. It would really help to learn how it works before you mismanage your level allotments. The game won't explicitly tell you, but the benefit to leveling up a skill will slowly be cut off the more you level up. This is kind of like how a bartender will cut you off if you had too much to drink. It's a really complex concept once you get into it, and you can beat the game without knowing how to optimize your levels perfectly, but I did just want to mention that level caps do exist. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck to you as a new player, and I hope you have a great day.